What's up, gamers, bros and sisters, new people to the channel? Hey, thanks a lot for joining. I'm THESHELLBULLET8, and we'll just try and jump right into it right now. Today's video is a little bit different than normal. It's on a little bit more of a serious topic, but there's a reason behind it. Considering, all of the different things that I've been getting asked recently, emails, messages on Discord, and even on, things like Line, whatever the case may be. And then also in personal conversations with people on a day-to-day IRL. It's one of those things where this is something that I think is kind of important to talk about. I'm going to try and keep the video short, even though I know there's a whole lot more that can be gone into as far as this topic goes on all of the topics that I'm talking about. And just to start it right out, I mean, the topics that we're going to go over are pertaining to people's mentalities, relationships, mental health, and narcissism, or narcissistic tendencies in people. Now, I hate even doing this, but it has to be said, in every video pretty much, and it'll help me out a whole lot. But please, if you enjoy the video, you watch through, please like, comment, and subscribe on it. Because in fact, I do want to hear comments about this, and I do want to hear your opinions, facts that you may have behind it, or personal instances that you can actually relate to in this situation. So, like I said, people have asked a lot of different questions or had things that they kind of wanted to talk about with me directly. And it's one of those things where some people are comfortable with either, doing a video on it so we can have that real interaction back and forth, and some it's just a situation where they want to say something about it and ask if I can speak on it. I am not anyone's mental health advisor, a mental health professional in the sense of actually having a degree, correct myself, a license in the field. But I think that a big thing as far as with us as a whole, one of the things that social media does, one of the things that YouTube and Twitch and, anything that you can build a community does, it allows you to have these interactions with individuals that you may never have, interacted with. And people end up trusting your opinion or the facts that you can actually bring to them. And personally, it's my preference to actually bring facts over opinion, but a lot of this is subjective, especially when it comes to relationships. But enough of that. Let's just start off with the narcissistic individual. So a lot of the things I'm going to say right now are going to lead into the other discussion points because they're relevant to it. Narcissistic people have a tendency to actually make everything about themselves. And in fact, when it comes to, relationship wise, these individuals can actually come off as, oh, I was never the problem in a relationship, or I never, treated anyone in this manner in a day-to-day relationship. And when I say relationship, yes, the primary thing that we're all going to think is, relationship as far as a connected relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, girlfriend and girlfriend, boyfriend and boyfriend, whatever the case may be, an actual relationship in that manner. But remember that a relationship also applies to things like your friendships, family relationships, things of that nature too. But a narcissist has that tendency to always make things very much so seem as though they weren't the problem and that it's the other individual's fault. And since we're going to lean more towards, that personal connected relationship of a boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever have you, husband and wife, whatever the situation is, that's what the context of a lot of this, I think, is going to be looked at as. but it can be applied to all of the other relationships that I spoke of. In those scenarios, these individuals can make you feel like, and that right there can make you feel like you're wrong for saying something back to them, for challenging their viewpoint or opinion. A greater deal of the time, they're not even speaking in fact. They're actually speaking in either opinion or on feeling. And I understand, everyone goes off of their feelings, quote unquote, here and there. But there's a lot of things that actually have factual basis to it. A narcissistic person can actually make it seem like during a conversation, just because of the way that you speak, and I don't mean yelling or anything like that, but just being very direct about whatever it is that you're saying. And again, challenging their opinion, maybe attempting to give them a different viewpoint. They'll actually make you feel like, wait a minute, did I just do something, wrong? Because they look at it as an argument, whereas you are primarily only looking at it as a conversation. And you're sharing ideas and you're sharing opinions. And that's the thing about a relationship. That is supposed to happen. And in fact, you are going to get into arguments and things like that. But there's a way to deal with those. And we can discuss that later on. Another thing with a lot of narcissists, they have the tendency to tell you exactly what they are. And no matter what they say, they're never going to change it. Think of it from this point. If someone can look at you and say, oh, I'm a bitch, I know I'm a bitch. Well, sounds like that's a little bit of a problem. Wouldn't you think that when you're in a relationship or you're dealing with your friends and things like that, that you should probably take other people's perspectives, or better yet, you should not only take their perspective, but you should actually look at the situation and understand that you might be wrong in that. The fact is, when someone can say that, or someone can say, oh, I'm a total asshole and I don't care, the problem with it is that they're never going to change it. Even if they believe that they will, or they say that they can, they don't want to. Because to have that ability to actually come off and be in that manner and treat individuals however they please because they don't get their way, guess what? That's not a point of change. That's just you trying to hold it back. You're not working on it. You might try and hold it back, but when it comes out, it's a whole big thing, especially when the other individual or individuals challenge you on it. See, we all as human beings have our tendencies, narcissistic tendencies. Some people in a joking manner, some people, it's literally their lifestyle. And what I mean by it, what I'm speaking on right now, is when you're dealing with people who it is simply their life. And the reason why I'm, talking about all of this, I didn't say at the very beginning, is because some of the things that have been getting said or asked are from people who have family members or friends, and actual real life friends that I know who recently had situations where I don't even know if I can say it, but they took their own lives. I'm trying not to use the other word just in case, not to cause any issue or whatnot, but they took their own lives, or it came to a situation where, they are so on themselves, depressed, and a great deal of other things that it really, really, it makes me think that they almost have no other release or outreach or anything else. And, no matter who watches this, I hope it's the fact that the things that I say right now actually can help you. But to get beyond this, or to get through this, understand that if you have these types of tendencies, you really do need to take the time to look at yourself and understand the world does not revolve around you. It's a childish mentality to have that sort of tendency to say, oh, it's everyone else's fault, I'm not the problem. Or, oh, I'm this way and that's just the way that I am forever. Well, that means that you cannot grow, or you will not grow. And in fact, that's your own personal issue, not everyone else's. The next part of this is talking on actual confidence. And the funny thing about it is, a lot of people who have narcissistic tendencies typically have a lack in actual self-confidence. A lot of them need a whole lot of attention. A lot of them, need to be reassured on certain levels and things of that nature, which everybody, I think, needs and deserves some level of reassurance, some level of attention, something to help them boost their confidence. But for a narcissist, they will take it from anywhere, anyone, at any time. And in fact, even if it's not a matter of getting positive attention, it's a matter of they're going to dump on you to the extent to where it brings your level of confidence lower and lower, and affects you in a mental state that's just pure and simply unhealthy. And it's a sad thing, because when you're in a relationship, or when you have strong bonds with individuals, it's a thing that everyone typically, should be attempting to help one another, grow. But with self-confidence, with, issues where people lack confidence, lack self-esteem, however you want to put it, the thing about it is, I get it. We all have our own situations where we feel like we're not good enough for something, or we didn't do something well enough, or we're not good enough to accomplish X, Y, and Z. Understand something. You are where you are. You're fine. There's certain things that will make you feel less than, or make you feel degraded, make you feel like you can't accomplish. But the truth of it is that, let's take money, for instance. Everyone wants to be rich. Who wouldn't love to have $1 billion? Okay, here's the problem with that. Not everyone can have $1 billion. There's tons of reasons why. But just to break it down on the most simplistic situation, or in the most simplistic way, I should say, think about it. Then, if there's this category of wealth that everyone has, there would be no one to do anything else. There would be no sense of fulfillment. There would be no sense of adventure or joy. I understand the struggle can be real, and nobody wants to struggle. I get that. And there's a lot of people that are struggling. But how is it that we all have this idea that we actually deserve to have all of those things? You see it every day in social media. People who are posing, as quote unquote models, or whatever the case may be, making themselves look like they live a certain lifestyle because it's something that they are trying to, reach or gain or obtain. When the fact of it is that only about 1% of individuals actually reach that status. People who are selling their bodies online, that's where OnlyFans, other things of that nature comes in. Not everyone can attain that same level of success. People are bypassing certain jobs because, well, it's not good enough for them. What have you done? What have you worked for in order to actually reach and attain the level that you're wanting? Leading it back to confidence, that shouldn't be what actually builds or drops your confidence where you are in life. You simply should understand that, you know what? I'm at this point. I can try and move myself up, or I can be happy at where I'm at. Either way, the choice is yours. But to actually base your self-confidence, base your worth on what other individuals have, that's setting you up. It's setting you up for a major downfall. It's setting you up for things like depression, for things like, loss of relationships and friendships, and just so many other things. And I mean, I can get really, really technical with this, but I'm trying to make it to where everyone understands exactly what I'm saying, because it's not something that just affects a few individuals. On some level, nearly every person you know, or every person alive, has these doubts. Each individual just deals with them differently. And when you have those types of doubts or confidence issues, what ends up happening is the people that are around you will suffer along with you. And you may not know it, because especially in any relationship, the energy you share with someone absolutely affects that other individual. And usually those people are perfectly fine with it, because they believe and they hope and they try to help you pull yourself out of it. And when you don't, it becomes a thing of, well, now their confidence starts to get shattered. Some people do make it through it. Some people don't. I get it. And if you're one of the individuals who lost someone because of that, or removed yourself because of that from a relationship, it's understandable. Don't think that you did anything wrong. Just know that if you actually tried and they weren't willing to try, or they pushed you away, there's nothing you can do about that. If you still attempt to be friends with them or to help them through it, completely your choice. I mean, so many people nowadays say, oh, well, once you're done with somebody, or once this, that, so on and so forth, why even fuck with them again? Because sometimes it's a situation of even understanding maybe they weren't the best to be with at that point, but maybe, just maybe, you can save them from running into some of the situations that have now not forced me, but has put it on me so much to where I feel like I needed to make this video. And I've been using the term, confidence or self-confidence, whereas the fact is, what I should have actually been saying was insecurities. Words have weight. And I know this, I completely believe in it. And so that's what I need you guys to think about all of this in, as far as people's insecurities. Insecurities prevent us from doing the things that we should. They stop us from saying or make us say things that are at times untrue, downright mean, unhelpful to yourself or to other individuals around you. But most of all, I think that they prevent us from being the best possible individual, or just the best possible versions of ourselves in any given moment or in any given space. And that's a huge thing to actually understand. Insecurities will prevent you from being who you were supposed to be, from doing what you're supposed to do. Yes, always strive to do better. But don't put yourself in a situation to where you're becoming insecure about who you are and what you do because of what you're seeing others doing. Because I'm going to tell you, yet again, a lot of that stuff isn't real. And if I told you what some of those people do to get in those positions, or some of the darker side of that stuff, it would blow your mind. Not just blow your mind, it would gross you out, have you freaked out, probably in a corner crying somewhere, wondering like, what the fuck were they thinking? And even more so, a lot of it can just be created, meant to look like. And of course, as social, or as defined as our being has become based on social media and all of these different things, of course, so many people follow it, want to live that lifestyle, want to be that individual, but more than likely would not be willing to put up with the cost, or when they found out just how fake it actually was, it could destroy them. Be confident in who you are. Be secure in who you are and what you do. And most definitely, don't take your insecurities out on other individuals. Which leads me to the next point on relationships. So many people have lost loved ones, friends, family members, things like that, due to the ending of a relationship. And the problem with it is that a lot of people don't understand what it is that they've done to have been treated in a poor manner. Others, make rash decisions. Others allow things that are simple misunderstandings to blow up into huge fights, so on and so forth, which then ends that at that point in time. And then, of course, the other things that I spoke about already, which is why those things were spoken about in this video. People's insecurities, as well as the people who have the tendency to be very narcissistic. When you're in a relationship with someone and their narcissism kicks in, I'm going to give you a direct prime example here. That example being, well, let's say that someone wanted to be in a 50-50 partnership within your relationship. And at some point in time, this isn't something that you would have preferred, but okay, it works. But at some point in time, you have to realize that everything that you do as a whole affects, each other when you're in that 50-50 sort of situation. They give you a reason saying that it's for their own mental stability, their own peace of mind, whatever the case may be. And that's perfectly fine. But then they go off and they do something like quit a job. At that point, they made that decision. Your 50-50 partners, the decision was made without you, and things start to crumble because of this here. Now, in that situation, most individuals would be like, all right, cool. You know what? I'll back you up. That's what we do in relationships. We back one another up. But the question becomes, why didn't you discuss this? Why did you quit X job? A wife might ask their husband that specifically, or vice versa. You know, for the most part, it's a thing of, look, I got you, but you made this decision just on your own. And I can understand some of you are like, well, isn't that what we're supposed to? Like I said, that's what we do. But a decision was made that affects the whole, because what you know about that individual is that their attempt is to be this certain type of individual. But in their mind state, and if I'm going to say this certain type of individual, I may as well say it. Well, they wanted to be an independent form of an individual. They didn't want to feel like they had to rely on you. So now it becomes a thing of, well, by me stepping in this situation, I don't want you to feel like you have to rely on me, but I'm here with you. But the problem with it is that it's not just they did this, but they did it for their own benefit. And the expectation is that you will 100% take care of things, even though I made this deal with you. That's like going to a business partner and saying, hey, yeah, we're 50-50 partners. But when it comes to paying the employees, when it comes to dealing with all the bills, when it comes to, this, that, and the other, that's coming out of your 50%, not mine. And so, again, it's something that's easily handled. But the other problem is now this individual, other things start to kick in. Their restlessness, their insecurities, their want to be something else, but not knowing how to reach that goal. All of that starts, pressing on them. And then it gets turned around and it's laid on you at the same time. And when it's laid on you, your reaction is, okay, cool. You know what? I'm going to help you get through it. But they're like, no, I don't need your help. I'm okay. It's okay. Fine. But you see it constantly getting on them. And so much so that it's starting to change the way that your relationship, the dynamics of your relationship work. Questions are asked that would normally never be asked. You're looked at for certain things that you would normally never be looked at for. They're worried about certain things that you have no worries on, but now you're going to worry about them as well. Certain things that you split at one point in time, now it's left totally on you, even though you don't have the same amount of time anymore, because maybe you picked up more hours. Maybe you're doing, 2 or 3 more jobs in order to cover what was lost at that point. Or you're simply trying to make more, so that it's a situation that they don't ever have to worry about it. But in their head, it's not a matter of, that. It's a matter of, wait, now I'm not doing anything I feel like I should be doing. Why aren't they helping me figure out how to do more, or what I can do more of? And the worst part about it is that instead of actually working together, a lot of times people become competitive in that. That individual becomes your competitor instead of your partner, the other half of your relationship. When that happens right there, it's a very damaging situation to both people. But then to expect that the individual who's taking all of your weight on, if that's you, as an individual, and you've taken on all this weight for another individual, and to sit idly by as they turn around and essentially slap you in the face by taking their narcissistic attitude and throwing it at you in a manner to where they're saying that you're no help, that you're wrong, all of these other things. It's almost expected of you as an individual to turn around and possibly go off on them. But here's the problem. And this is one of the biggest issues in relationships: communication, lack of communication, the wrong form of communication. See, when you talk to another individual, the reason why some people will actually walk away from an argument, which I think is a very smart thing to do, give themselves 10, 15 minutes, maybe an hour, may even turn around and say to you, hey, you know what? If we're going to do this, let's wait. Let the emotions die down. We'll come back to it and we'll resolve this issue. I mean, you're going to get in arguments. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That happens in relationships. But there's a way to deal with it. I want you to think of an argument like a piece of paper. All right? When you take a piece of paper that you need and you don't read what it says on there, you don't realize what that piece of paper is, you crumble it up, you might even throw it in the trash. But then all of a sudden you realize, holy crap, I need that piece of paper. You go back and you grab that piece of paper and you open it back up. It's no longer the same piece of paper. That piece of paper now has wrinkles and, just all the markings from when you crumbled it up and threw it in the trash. You might even take that piece of paper, crumble it up, tear it up, throw it in the trash, realize, oh my God, I need that piece of paper. It has something important written on it. You take it out, you go ahead and you try and jigsaw puzzle it and put it all back together. The problem is you may lose a couple of words here and there or whatever the case may be, but that piece of paper is still not the same. You still see the wrinkle marks or the tears in it and the little patchwork that you tried to do with it, whether it was using glue or tape more commonly, whatever. But that's just an analogy for what happens when you argue with someone at the high point of your emotions. What that does is you're essentially taking that person and causing this damage, those wrinkles, those crumbles, those tears. And no matter what you do, no matter how much you apologize, no matter how much you try to correct whatever the mistake is, even if you come back together in the end of that argument and you think you're okay, the problem is that person that you did those things to, you've essentially now left all of these marks on or in them metaphorically. Will your relationship ever be the same again? Now, in talking about all of this, I'm talking to both sides of the spectrum, to the people who are narcissistic, to the people who may have insecurities or self-confidence issues, and to the individuals who've actually had to, be in that form of a relationship and deal with those different sorts of things. The bottom line to it is we all have our own little things that we deal with. And we all have our own preferences. And let me explain something to you. A preference is one thing, but an expectation is a whole different situation. You can't go into a relationship telling or trying to lay your expectations on other individuals because you met someone in a certain way. They either made you laugh, they made you feel emotionally connected, you created this bond, whether it was physical, mental, psychological, whatever you want to call it. But your expectations of an individual is only there to set you up for failure. You have your preferences, and that's perfectly fine. But understand, you cannot attempt to lay, your own. And again, this is a trait of a very narcissistic individual, that their expectations are all that matter, when in fact their expectations mean nothing. What matters is what you communicate, what you work on, how you communicate it, and how you work on it. Again, I can go into this for hours on a wholly different level with any number of people, but the bottom line to it, the reason why I brought all of this up. The reason why I'm making this video right now is to say this. If you're out there and you're suffering through any form of depression, anxiety, mental illness, resulting from anything in life, but especially from something like a relationship, which we gain and lose multiple times throughout our lives, please take the time to actually talk to someone, talk to your friends, talk to your loved ones, seek professional help. It's too many times in this world where a very broken heart knot, I completely get it, where that feeling weighs so heavily on the mind that it consumes you. I get it. But don't let it be the thing where everyone else around you loses you, where the world loses potentially an amazing person. I don't care what age you are, whether you're 14 years old in a relationship all the way up to 60 years old or beyond, and you've lost someone relationship wise. Don't let that be the thing that takes you out of this world. Hell, don't let anything take you out of this world in that matter. Hey, hopefully this helps somebody, and I'm sorry I've ranted even for as long as I have at this point in time. I mean, there's a lot more I can say about it. There's a better way that I could say it, but this isn't something that I prepared for at all. It's literally just me talking and sharing what I know of these instances based on what people have spoken to me about, and I mean, some life experience. I hope it helps. But hey, I'm THESHELLBULLET8. Thanks a lot for watching. Please go ahead, do all the great stuff. Help me out with this, with the algorithm. Help me reach 1K, whatever the case may be. But more than anything else, please, please take good care of yourselves and definitely take good care of each other. I'm THESHELLBULLET8. I'm out.